More breaking news, this time on sanctions. We're expecting them coming from the Biden administration, expanding Russia sanctions to the all-important Nord Stream 2, guys. That, of course, being that important gas pipeline between Germany and indeed Russia and Remain. It was anticipated.
It was anticipated, and this is sort of the drip, drip, drip that a lot of people have said we're going to get with regards to the sanctions. I guess the big question right now, Taylor, is how far, not only is the U.S. willing to go, but more importantly, how far is Europe willing to go along with them?
Yeah, certainly seems like, as the statement says, they are on board, of course, with Germany stopping not only Nord Stream 2, but now, of course, the U.S. side of that, imposing sanctions on that and some of those corporate officers. You take one look there at the ruble, and it is dollar strength, massive ruble weakness, up now to an 80 handle. What's interesting as well, though, you're not seeing the kind of reaction in the oil markets. Brent earlier this morning touched 99. We were almost at triple digits, and yet mostly unchanged on this news here.
We have pulled back from those highs, of course, a little bit in oil. And it's notable we have EU leaders holding that all-important emergency summit as soon as Thursday. So we'll have to see how they continue to impact the sanctioning. They've got 23 high-ranking individuals, bank executives, military chiefs, media figures, top Kremlin officials. But how much more could they do? I'm pleased to say, rushing to set to discuss all of this is Bloomberg's chief Washington correspondent, Annmarie Hordern. Great to have you in the house. Talk to us about the impact of the Nord Stream 2 corporate officers and the business itself.
I think it's incredibly significant that they took this step, right? This is also something the administration had tried to avoid. German Chancellor Angela Merkel, the former chancellor, came to the White House. They signed this decree. They were going to allow it to continue unless Russia started weaponizing oil and gas. And Olaf Scholz saying, we're going to stop the certification. But today we heard from his economy minister saying in the future, that doesn't mean it's done for good. Putting sanctions on it pretty much means it's dead.
Well, that's what I'm curious about, because is there any sort of, I guess, out for the Europeans if they did want to sort of go it alone on this?
It would be incredibly difficult. They're sanctioning the company. I mean, it would, unless you want to get in the crossfires of U.S. sanctions, which means what? You can't trade with U.S. banks, et cetera. It's incredibly difficult.
It was interesting. Yesterday, we were talking about the initial sanctions of start hard and stay hard, right? And then you and I discussed why we're not sanctioning Putin directly. And it was sort of going level at level and being maybe reactive and defensive instead of offensive, which is sort of the image that we're trying to give out. Does this feel like sort of that escalation?
This does feel like an escalation for sure. And I would say the administration now is going to actually benefit domestically, because Ted Cruz has already come out with a statement saying this was the right thing for the administration to do. And this was a senator that's been holding up all of their nominees. So they're going to win on the domestic front with Republicans big time. And it's going to play very well internationally, especially with the Ukrainians.
Yeah, and you've, of course, been all over this on reporting. I think you got some reporting coming up a little bit later.